Good morning and welcome. And now we're going to make that tablet that I had spoke of. First I have to get it off of the spring. Usually I just tear it, but I'm taking the shortcut today. I can't get up with the paper cutter by this thing. I have tried. Maybe it was a different paper cutter I could, but I figured, oh wow, my hands aren't that strong. Alright, we'll do a little at a time. Scissors are strong enough, but my hands aren't. Excuse me. I'm waiting for the snowstorm to move in right now. It's raining outside. I'm in southeast Michigan. We're supposed to get some of the worst of it. And got up this morning and boom, right to the window. Did we get it? Did we get it? No, we didn't get it. Still makes me feel like a little kid when we get snow. I don't know why. Well, the first. If it keeps coming. Or when I was working, I started getting tired of it. When I was in receiving, I'd get in and get the coffee going. I put a coffee pot in my receiving for the drivers. Well, I drank it too, but years ago, my father was a truck driver. We're talking way back in the 70s. He stuck me in the truck with him, and when he got where he would need to be, they would have coffee and receiving and such for the drivers. There was a break room they could go to, but way back then, the drivers emptied their own truck. I remember when Dad said it stopped and he had nothing to do. Just sit there, wait for them. Okay, God forbid. Oh, well. Anyways, so when I had receiving, I put a coffee pot in there. The cold blowing in the big doors would kill them rather quickly. I went through a few of them. I'm going to aim for that red line. I can trim up the board to I can trim up that board to match it later. I can measure it and know exactly, but this way it's just a visual that I have that I can use right here on this paper and make it a lot faster. My cat woke me up. I only slept a few hours. I thought, well, while it's really quiet in the house, because my husband, he's still sleeping. That's unusual for him. After he went to bed, my younger son and I sat up and played Xbox. Just Monopoly. I don't play all that other stuff. I had bought him a Series X when they came out. It was about the time I had gotten your first check was the disability, well, it was Social Security, because, they're going to bite you on it. It's usually a rather large check, and most of it, of course, went into the savings, because that was gone, but I did take a little bit and got him an Xbox Series X. He helps me a great deal. It's the least I could do, I thought. So he brought that, well, he gave me the old one, and that's down in the living room, but my husband's always in the living room watching that television in the evening, and So I don't usually, we have different political views, let's just say that. We didn't used to. A few years ago, all that changed. Anyways, so I've got them all cut up, got the back on it. I'm going to leave that there for a little stability. Get a few of these down here. Get my glue, my rag. I cut up my old clothes. Well, they're all old, but I cut up my clothes when I'm done with them. T-shirts and sweatshirts. I did cut up a bunch of the jeans. I was gonna turn them into something else. My sister-in-law gave me, she works at Lazy Boy, and when they discontinue certain fabrics, which apparently when they change their samples, I should say, she's up here at, because we have, this is where it started, Lazy Boy started here. As a matter of fact, my sister Cassie, I think it was, married into one of the families that started it. Well, you know, it was the grandfather or the great-grandfather or something like that. I don't know. They weren't rich, let's put it that way. That trickle down doesn't always work out. One of the families, I believe, was bought out, and I think it was theirs. If I remember my history, our town history, I probably don't. When I was in grade school, no, it wasn't grade school. Matter of fact, it was 7th grade. I remember social studies teacher I had asking us, oop, I had it too close to the edge, asking us if we realized that in Monroe, we had 10%, of course, now you got to remember, I was born in 1960, so this was way back. Would have been, what, 70, 72, 73, something like that. We supposedly had 10% of the, I don't know, 10% of the nation's richest people or something like that. Oh, on one of our roads, and the houses are still there, they're all still fenced off. All this property had been owned by the one company, or the one family. I'm not mentioning any names besides. I'm really bad with names, so I'd probably get it wrong. And so they started with the big house, and then as the kids grew up, they built other houses and, you know, on the property all along the way. And hey, they all worked for a living. I can remember when I was a bartender, after we were married, I left the restaurant I worked at to be a bartender at this new gung-ho restaurant everybody was up for. And boy, did they treat women poorly there. Ooh, boy. I can remember being in the bathroom just bawling my eyes out. Anyways, the one was a lawyer, and he'd come in there after work and relax. And that's when I realized they just, like the rest of us, they just work for a living. You grow up with, oh, they're the rich ones, whatever. Anyhow, that's all there was to it. I yacked for 10 minutes, but that was it. Cut the edges, put the glue on, kind of smoothed it out. There are some glues that will dry kind of sticky. and I do have one, a Tombow someplace. If you want, you know how tablets will have that little bit of piece of paper wrapped around the end? If you're wanting to get technical and do that kind of a thing, you could use that kind of a glue and it would help stick that paper in place and then glue each side so that it's really on there. Or do like they do and staple it. They'll use a sticky adhesive on, and I think it's the whole reason they put the paper there. Underneath it, there's a sticky adhesive. If you pull the paper off, you'll feel it. Well, if you take a piece of paper, cut to the size you're wanting, and just tap it against it, it'll hold it in place, and then you can staple through them all if you've got a heavy-duty stapler. I don't, and even if I did, my hands aren't strong enough to squeeze it on there anyways. But I just use these. I'm always, ew, maybe I shouldn't have used that. Ah, it rubs right off. I must have set it in something. I use these scraps up because I'm always writing myself lists. For one thing, I've gotten where, I mean, I've never had the greatest memory, even as a child, but it's getting really bad for some reason, and, well, it can be scary at times. So, I try to write things down. I try to have notepads everywhere. Um, when you print things off and you end up with all those bits and pieces, and say the back of it is clean, but the front's got printing on it, and you're not going to use it after. That was for a card. I always do extras just in case I mess up. Anyhow, those I will cut up, and, well, here's a small one. Yeah, I did that recently. I don't film all my crafts. If I did, there'd be a billion up there. Anyhow, waste not, want not. This will come in handy. It'll dry. It's not going to take that long. And when it dries, it'll be like this one. And as a matter of fact, it just pulls off like a notepad. And pull off my little notes. These I didn't cut right on the red line. I left the red line, and I have noticed that they're a little more crooked and they don't meet up as well. So I think it's better to go ahead and make sure that the line, I wasn't too worried about it being perfect anyways, but having that cut point, it's at the same point on the papers. So if I cut right on that line, they should fit up better, and I don't have to be quite so nutsy about it. But yeah, it dries nice. Good layer there. The thinner your glue, the more it will absorb in, and it might get in between the pages, and you'll have, parts of it'll tear off. So a little bit thicker glue is better. I even use this. It's supposed to be for leather and suede. I poured it in here from a bigger bottle. I won't buy it again because it doesn't work on the leather and suede. I didn't feel it did a very good job. I'll try the silicone glue and see if that works better. You have a great day, and thank you for joining me.